Okay, I think we now have Alejandra Candia, Deputy Minister of Social Development from Chile, who will have a special intervention after the welcome remarks from Gonzalo. So as the participants are joining, hello everybody, and thank you so much for joining this very, very special MPPN and OPHI session on our first Africa regional event that the MPPN has hosted. We are very excited about today's agenda. We're going to start off with some welcome remarks from Gonzalo Hernandez Licona, the director of the Multidimensional Poverty Peer Network. Gonzalo, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Felipe, and thank you very much to all of you to be here. Hoping that you and your families are fine in the middle of the pandemic. The pandemic is still here, so hopefully all of you are fine. And as you know, the MPPN is about learning and exchange between countries, and this has been the case over the past 8 years. But I think that the really interesting thing about MPPN is that there is always the possibility to learn from all participants from all countries. Because a good emphasis is on national MPIs. It means that each country can shape the MPI according to their needs or their history or their challenges. Of course, OPHI has been there near the countries to help with Sabina, with Monica, with Corinne, Ricardo, and all the team. But the last word is always about the country. And 10 years ago, we learned about Latin America, and it was a lot of Latin America. But during these years, other regions and many countries have done really well in terms of MPI. And today, there is a clear balance between regions. So I think, unlike the Olympics, that usually the top rank belongs to few countries and always the same countries in general. On MPI, it's not this way. The learning comes from all. In this case, it's about Africa. A third of MPPN participants are from Africa, 20 out of 61. And today, we have two important objectives. One is learning about a couple of examples of MPI in the region, from Sierra Leone, Mozambique, Nigeria. We're missing Angola today. But so thank you very much to Sheka, to Shola, to Enilde, to Eddie, and to Pali for your participation. And the other objective is learning how these countries are using their MPI for public policy. MPI is about using it for improving the lives of the people. So thank you very much for being here. Of course, this MPPN event is part of a whole range of events from OPHI this year. We will have very good events in the coming months. We'll have summer school coming and executive education event for the first time in August. We have our annual event in Chile, and Alejandra Candia will talk about it in a moment. Thank you to Felipe, Corinne, Monica, Pali, Sabina, Emily, Maya. Thank you to all of you. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Gonzalo, for your welcome remarks. Now we have a special intervention from the Deputy Minister of Social Development of Chile. We're very pleased to have you here, Alejandra, who is going to announce the dates for the MPPN annual meeting, which, as you may recall, was postponed last year, but we're very happy to have a date. So Alejandra, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Felipe. Thank you, Gonzalo. I want to say hello to all of you and also to Sabina. And I'm very thankful to have the opportunity to hear in this floor, use this floor to announce our meeting of this year, that Chile is going to be host, yes, of the MPPN meeting. I was prepared to talk in Spanish, but it's okay. I will speak in English. So you will be very fortunate because I will speak very small, very little, because I have a little words. Because this year we have the results of our household survey that we applied every 2 or 3 years. So because of the pandemic, we have talked a lot with Sabina, Gonzalo, and Felipe about this. We have only capture parts of our MPI index, but that's not a problem to have a very complete diagnosis about what is happening in our country, not only in the terms of income, that obviously our poverty index of income poverty index have a decrease this year. So we have for first time in a lot of years, the income poverty increased in Chile because of the effects in the, particularly in the effects of the income of labor, about the effects of the pandemic. But also we have a lot of information about the components of the MPI index that we were able to have in our household income survey. And also we were able to look the effects of the pandemic and to guide our future steps in Chile about what we have to do about giving solutions to the population, about the great effects that the pandemic have not only in the income, but also in the other aspects of household families, and in all the components of the MPI that we were able to have results this year. All of this information we're going to show you in this event. We are very happy for being the host. Last year we were very obviously affected by the pandemic effects, and we were not able to have in this event. But this year we decided not to postpone it again. So we decided to do it. Help me, Felipe and Gonzalo, virtualmente. No, we will not do this event this year presentially. It's okay, that word. We do it. We're gonna do it in the same framework that we are now, and we will be very happy to have you here in our country, the 4th and 5th of October of this year, and obviously we will like to have all the people that are part of this network, so we can, as Felipe and Gonzalo said before, that we can share the experience that we have had with the MPI index during pandemic, and how the MPI index or its components that we are able to have in the table are showing us the guidelines to design and implement social policies that are able to help the population of being able to go ahead with the effects of the pandemic in every country. So I think that it will be a very interesting space to share these experiences that all of us have been having these years with the pandemic, and also with our index, and also with the components and the guidelines for designing social policy, which is the most important use that we have of this tool. So thank you very much. We will be waiting for you and your confirmations. 4 and 5 of October. Our president is also very anxious of receiving you in our country, because he will going to participate of this event. And also we're going to organize a complete setting, so we can share all the experiences that are very interesting to us during this pandemic. Thank you very much. Sorry about the English, but I was prepared to talk in Spanish. But I hope this is interesting for you to have you here in Chile the 4th and 5th of October of this year. Thank you very much, Gonzalo, Felipe, and Sabina. We will be waiting for you and all the people of the MPPN network. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You did very well. Gracias, Alejandra.
Gracias, Gonzalo.
Thank you so much to the Deputy Minister of Social Development of Chile, Mrs. Alejandra Candia. Thank you very much for reminding us the invitation and the progress, and most importantly, the leadership being exercised by Chile. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today. So with this, I'm gonna give the floor to Mr. Pali Lehohla. Pali is a research associate at the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative. We are absolutely privileged to be working with Pali on the African front. So Pali, thank you so much for chairing this session, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Felipe. Sabina, I can see you there. I'm sure that you are back in London, having been out there in Bhutan for a very long period of time. And colleagues, Gonzalo, Minister, Deputy Minister, and Alejandra, if only you can promise us that when the pandemic is off, we will then go and have a physical meeting in Chile, so we can accept the meeting of the 4th and the 5th.
I would love that.
Thank you very much. Mine is to guide the proceedings here and introduce the panelists, and I'll start by doing that right away. I understand that Mr. Chan John, General Director, Mr. Chan John of Angola, is not with us today, but we have Shika Bangura, Director of Planning, Policy and Research, Ministry of Planning in Sierra Leone. How are you, madam? You are welcome. And pass my regards to my brother, in Sierra Leone, the head of statistics there. We have Madam Sola Alo Afo Leon, National Coordinator, MPI, National Social Investment Office, Office of the Vice President, Nigeria. You are welcome, Madam. And I must say I have been to Abuja and to the other Office of Statistics in Nigeria, and I was very happy to have been there. We also have Enilde Samento from Mozambique, our neighbor here in SADC, who is National Director of Economic and Development Policy in the Ministry of Economy and Finance, who will be addressing us. You are welcome. Professor Eddie Maloka, who is been a long-standing ambassador of South Africa, now who is the CEO of the African Union, Africa's peer review mechanism, APRM, a brother and somebody I know very, very well, will give us an African perspective. And then, of course, we will also hear from the director of OPHI, Sabina Alkir, who has been holding the fort for almost, I don't know how many years, 11, 12 years now, and have actually taken care of this baby to blossom in the way it is blossoming to date. And then, of course, after that, we'll have 15 minutes of interventions from the floor, and this will be written on the chat box and also by people raising their hand. Now, MPI as a policy tool in Africa, very, very important at this point in time of the pandemic, of handling poverty, and in particular, from the global report that we received earlier, later last year, which was also launched at the APRM in December last year. Each speaker has 10 minutes, and the timekeeper is Felipe. I'm sure he will use certain techniques to indicate when we are left with 2 minutes, and then he'll be brutal when we reach 10th minute. So I hope we will not have to cause him to be very brutal. I know he's very sharp with his knife. I hope we'll not attract him to use that knife. So let's hear then first from Sheka Bangura, Director of Planning, Policy and Research, Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, Sierra Leone. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much.
We are all yours.
Are you able to see my slides, the other end there, please?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
Okay. So, okay, thank you so much. So my slides are clearly visible there, I guess, to share with you our experience in Sierra Leone as regards the application of August. Let me know the yes. I'm trying.
I think we may need to improve the connectivity if all of us then can switch off our videos and allow Sierra Leone to present, because I think there's something with problematic with the. So, my brother, you have the floor.
I think we lost Mr. Sheka Pali. I think he's connecting
he's
again.
back. He's back. Mr. Bangura, we can see that you are here. Mr. Bangura, we can see that you were here. It looks like Philippe, he is here.
Yes, I think he's having some problems. We could give the floor to
move to the next
our next speaker while Mr. Sheka is back.
Oh, he's here.
I think he's there.
Okay, I'm so sorry about the connection here. It could happen sometimes. May I continue, please?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry about that. Okay, this is the basic outline of my presentation, 5 items to share with you in brief. I'll start with providing a brief historic background, relating to MPI application in Sierra Leone. Then I'll tell you a little about the structure of MPI estimated in the country so far and some results. Then go to the policy program application of MPI, basically the use of MPI in our policy decision processes, then the challenges to the use of MPI, then give some recommendation. Yes, so basically, with regards to some history, before 2017, the MPI had only been reported for the country at global level, within the global HDI report, the Human Development Report, comparing indices across country. In 2017, we sent staff to participate in the OPHI summer school in Marrakesh, in Morocco, facilitated by the UNDP at the time. The same year, we were able, as a country, to produce the first MPI report. It's a pilot, we want to call it, an MPI report for Sierra Leone, based on the country's national housing and population census of 2015, data on that. And that effort was led by myself, Sheka Bangura, plus some of my staff, to really see how we can experiment, with the OPHI methodology to produce an MPI, in the country. In 2018, we became a member of the global multidimensional poverty peer network. Then 2018, 2019, OPHI worked with us extensively, the government, Statistics Sierra Leone Institute of the government and the UNDP to produce the first comprehensive national MPI report, based on the multiple indicator cluster survey data of 2017. That was just a brief regarding the MPI intervention in the country. The report we did in 2017 as a country, the MPI, but this is the structure of that report, looking at dimension, basically the traditional dimension of the OPHI based on the Human Development Reports, on education, health, living standards. We have indicators we applied at that time in the pilot, about 12 of them, indicators as shown there, under education, health, and living standards. We have literacy, school attendance for education, health. We have immunization, child poverty, child mortality for health, living standards. We had electricity and use sources of electricity, cooking fuel, overcrowding, flooring, improved sanitation, drinking water, which is an asset. You have the weighting of all of these indicators against the dimensions on your extreme right there. Then the OPHI-led report, published in 2019 based on the mix 2017 data. This was the structure. That was the structure looking at various dimensions, covering education, health, housing, living standards, and energy. We have this set of indicators that were used by OPHI, ranging from years of schooling, school attendance, right down, to energy regarding issue of cooking, fuel, electricity. These are some results that emanate from the MPI reports we produced so far, and then we start with the global reports of 2016 when we started tracking MPI reports in the country, but that was at the global level, putting us at 77.5% multidimensionally poor at national level. There are no statistics for urban and rural. Then 2017, the report we piloted, we produced, these were the statistics for that, for MPI at national, urban, and rural level. I think it's quite simply visible there for all. At national level, we had 68.3% estimated multidimensional poverty, urban 44.8%, rural 78.9%. All of these came down in the report produced by OPHI and others, working together, OPHI in 2019. All the indices, came down 64.8% at national level, urban 37.6%. Well, sorry, with the exception of rural area. I'm very sorry about that. And this is important. The rural area happened to move up, in multidimensional poverty estimation, from 2017 rather to 2019. So, well, this could not be surprising anymore, given some basic dynamics regarding our development in the country. Naturally, poverty being more of a rural phenomenon in the country, than not. Okay. Then, of course, we will do special analysis of the MPI. This distribution of MPI across the districts. I will leave you. I'm going to send this presentation later on. This just tells us about the concentration, of poverty, of multinational poverty in the country, the relative concentration of that across the districts of Sierra Leone. So very important for us to acknowledge the effort of UNICEF, the United Nations Children Fund, the country, working with us in the production of Child Multidimensional Poverty Index. There is another method we use, basic accounting, method looking at different indicators. This is very important to bring it out in perspective. to acknowledge that effort. So far, we've produced report for 2016-2019, multidimensional child poverty report in the country, and we try to have this regular across. We've been using the multiple indicator cluster survey, for this. And then these are the indicators that we've been using, for the production of child multidimensional poverty report in the country for 2016-2019. Nutrition issues, health, water, information, sanitation, education, and shelter. We maintain this, so that you can compare them. Well, basically, these were the statistics for child multidimensional poverty in the countries 2016-2019. We can all see that it dropped from 2016 it's dropped from 2010, at 77 at national level to 66%, at 66% in 2017. So the urban, you can also see, dropped significantly. Rural, a little, just dropped a little. So it would seem to be mimicking, what the OPHI and others produced in 2019 for the comprehensive national. In other words, the OPHI relative to the report we did earlier, it showed a little increase in poverty in the rural area. Here, while it showed a decrease, but the decrease would say it is infinitesimal from 87 to 85 for child poverty. This is the distribution comparing the two report statistics across the districts in Sierra Leone. I will send these slides to you later on. Now, policy application. MPI has been critical, as
Mr. Bangura, you have 2 minutes left.
Okay, I think I should be able to summarize that. Okay, thank you so much. The MPI has been widely used in guiding policy decision and program in the country. Our current medium-term national development plan was highly informed by the 2019 MPI report. Operationally, the index is more widely used among UN agencies in Sierra Leone, in joint discussion, of course, with the government of Sierra Leone to inform UN support to the country. The common country analysis reports that UN produces here in collaboration with us all reference MPI in guiding the production of the UNDAF. Now we have it as the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. Not long ago, in 2020, we undertook a feasibility study on accelerating community development in Sierra Leone, commissioned by the government and the UNDP. The MPI report of 2019, produced by OPHI together with us, was used in this report, this feasibility report, to recommend the selection and prioritization of the top 5 multidimensionally poor districts for a potential rural development program to be facilitated by the UNDP. I think this is very important. The quote on your right there was coming from that report, relating to issues of disability, because the multidimensional poverty report produced also reported on status regarding, disability poverty in the country. The challenges, well, we still have an issue of appreciation of MPI in the country, within the public, even the political circles, due to limited information, because we are more in use. The income poverty is more in use, in the country than MPI, as much as we think that MPI should provide us more information about status in the country. So the issue of MPI and the income poverty, we need to resolve that. And we think that the cooperation among international partners support the application of income poverty as well as MPI, still has huge room, to address there, because the two could be confusing if not properly put in perspective, especially for the ordinary person. So by way of recommendation, we think that there is need to increase public education on MPI and the need for cooperation among international partners supporting use of different indices, in our countries. and then maybe to consider integrating income poverty into MPI going forward, and to undertake regular national MPI reporting to track progress. Then of course there is more training for technicians, on MPI. Otherwise, I think I would like to thank you so much for listening to this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheikh. Very interesting.
For this good presentation. I'm sure all of us will be saying, how did the urban MPI drop so significantly? What was it that you did that made this possible? So then we have our next presenter from Mozambique. Are you ready to share your screen, Mozambique?
Yes, let me share.
Hello.
Muito obrigado. Muito obrigado.
Are you seeing my presentation now?
I see it very clearly, very clearly. Republic of Mozambique, Ministry of Economy and Finance, multidimensional.
Okay.
21. Go ahead, madam.
Thank you, and good afternoon all again. So we are going to present our experience with the MPI in Mozambique. What's happened here? I think that I'm having some.
Your screen is here before us. Is it the moving of the screen or what is it?
Yes, I'm trying to.
Yes, it does that at times, may slow down a bit. Maybe you can escape the presentation and present again. Just press escape so that this becomes a view, and then put it in presentation mode and then move your. Otherwise, do we have Corinne or
I don't know.
Would you like me to share your presentation? And you tell me when to.
Just 2 minutes. Yes, if you can.
Perfect. So I'll stop sharing your screen and I'll start sharing my screen.
Okay. The line.
Okay. Don't worry, I'll share on my screen.
Yes, please, thank you.
Don't worry. Five seconds, excuse me. Perfect. Can you see my screen right now?
You can see it now, yes.
Yes, we can, and then
Perfect. Great.
You can shoot Madam Enilde, yes.
Thank you. We are trying to share our experience on MPI in Mozambique. Mozambique was one of the first African countries to developing MPI as an official poverty measure. Until now, we have been done 4 national poverty assessments. This is not specifically MPI, it's a poverty assessment. We did 2 MPI, but in terms of poverty assessment, we did 4. One on 1996, and the second on 2002, and the next one on 2008, and the last one we did with household data on 2014. What we use for the poverty assessment is based on consumption only. But for MPI, we use our census data. Last year, we did our second MPI using the data from the 2017 population census. And we disaggregated the results until the district level. Next, please. Thank you. One of the main objectives of the government of Mozambique, when we are talking about the our government plan, when we are looking for the mid and long term, is to reduce the levels of the poverty in Mozambique. This is a fundamental factor for improving the well-being of our population that are increasing fastly. So for us, it's important to have a tool like MPI to measure in terms of poverty where we are. So it allows us to design the projects that will contribute to improving the people's living conditions, and allows us to tracking change in their poorest conditions, and to see which province are now more poor than other, and in terms of changes, what happens in the countries. And in order to be able to monitoring the programs that the government are implementing, and helps us to mobilize resources and to support the national and to have the support from the international partners to reduce the poverty in specific sectors or specific province. Next, please. What is poverty in our understanding? There is no single definition that satisfies everyone. The concept has evolved over time in order to capture new realities. In general, poverty is almost always identified with the idea of deprivations, monetary insufficiency, social exclusions, and other indicators. In terms of being a multidimensional poverty, we look for absence of mobility, opportunities to learn when we look for educations, when we have to look to, for example, health. So this is the indicators that we use to look when we want to do our MPI. Next, please. In terms specifically, when we are talking about MPI that we have done in Mozambique, we use the Alkire-Foster method because it can include a wide range of indicators and become used, and is the one that is most used in the world. For our first MPI that we did on 2014, we used 17 indicators grouped into the 3 dimensions. These dimensions is health, education, and the living standards. Let's say, for example, access to electricity, waters, and other ones. There were about 25 million people, and it means, in terms of results, 53% living in multidimensional poverty. This on 2014 with our household data. And we did the last one last year on 2020 using the 2070 census. And for this one, we used 4 dimensions and 6 indicators. There were about 3 million people. And in terms of results, we had 75% live in multidimensional poverty. Next, please. So what we are doing with the results of our MPI? For us, this is very important because the MPI provides information on the provision and use of public service, the need for public investment in different areas, and it can explain why some consumption-poor households are in this or on that condition, example, lack of education, assets, access to public service, and other ones. Overall, more stable than consumption poverty, which reflects the volatility of consumption levels. For example, if we want to measure the effect of a time-limited shock such as COVID or cyclones, we know that Mozambique is one of the most exposed countries for cyclones, floods. We will preferably use consumption poverty. If we want to measure the impact of investments in water supply, electricity, schools, health, and other, we would be better to use multidimensional poverty. So in Mozambique, we are working with these 2 tools. We use consumption poverty and MPI for specifically for investments, for planning long-term investments, and to see where we need to concentrate our resource. Next, please. So in Mozambique, the fundamental document for dissemination and socialization on poverty at all levels of the countries continues to be the National Poverty Assessment. But for planning the use of resource, the investments in education, health, infrastructures, we use MPI. We are at the moment preparing the 15th National Poverty Assessment, which will include an analysis of monetary poverty and an analysis of multidimensional poverty, both done on the basis of the 2020 household data. So we are now working on this document. Next, please.
You have 2 minutes left, Mr. Minto.
Thank you. We are promoting the use of the census-based multidimensional poverty index in planning for subsequent resource allocation at provincial and the district level. The only way to obtain multidimensional poverty data at the district, administrative post, and locality is to use the census data. And we have these results from the last one, our MPI that we did last year. So this is very important for us just to go until this level, let's say administrative and locality. Given that information on poverty at this level is fundamental for planning and subsequent allocation of resource at the local level, so that we can develop these areas, these regions. We have produced a technical document which includes multidimensional poverty estimates. This from the results of our last MPI using the Census 2017 data. This document will support all government internal planning and resource allocation process at local level, which like the middle-term fiscal framework. And next, please. I think that, yes, it's all. Thank you for your attention.
Muito obrigado.
Obrigada.
Thank you very
Obrigada.
much. All right. Now we move to Professor Maloka, who will give us a regional perspective from the Africa peer review mechanism. Professor Maloka hosted us and hosted the launch of the multidimensional poverty report in December last year. We are him, he is us, as MPPN, and ourselves as APRM. Professor Maloka, you need no introduction as a member of this community, and your presence in the African statistics community. We look forward to hearing from you, sir. Thank you very much for gracing this occasion, and let's hear from you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Pali.
Yes, Professor Maloka is there.
It keeps cutting. I think is on the side of the host, but I hope now I won't disappear, because where I am, the Wi-Fi.
Yes, it looks like we are losing you again, Professor Maloka. It was disappearing from
the problem is on the side of the host, because the connection where I am is okay. I've been following. No, thank you very much, Dr. Padi, and thank you for inviting us, and also for your very strong partnership with the APR.
Probably, Professor Maloka, what we may need to do is then hear you without seeing you.
The problem is on the side of the host. I think the host is the one that keeps kicking me out, because it's not a connection problem. But let's hope it doesn't disappear.
Host, please, what is the issue there? Let's try and fix this.
I think we're having a connection issue, but we're not taking out Professor Maloka. It might be that his connection is unstable.
Is that so? He has a very strong connection, and he's been following through all the time. I'm not sure what is the problem. Professor Maloka, you have the floor, sir. Perhaps what you may need to do, given this difficulty, because the host also says he has a very strong connection. Maybe you may have to you may have to put your input without us seeing you, but just talking to the presentation itself, to a presentation.
Or Pali, perhaps we can move to Sola, or? All right.
Is Sola from Angola?
I'm trying now without the headphones. Can you? I hope it doesn't go off now, because perhaps the problem was with the connections of the headphones, because I'm sitting in a public area. But I will try nonetheless. Do I still have the floor, Dr. Padi?
You have the floor, Professor Maloka.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the problem was linked to the headphones. I was thanking you first for making sure that the APRM is part of this initiative, and also educating us on this very complex tool for measuring poverty within our countries. And also I join everybody in recognizing all the distinguished participants who are here, the host, the director, and everybody, and the deputy minister who addressed us before, and of course my fellow panelists who educated us a lot, especially the two presentations on Sierra Leone and Mozambique. And just to say that in the APRM, we are also a peer learning tool. We are in a body of the African Union that promotes good governance in Africa through peer learning. So our member states, they learn from each other, and we also deploy teams to undertake country review missions. And when they conduct country review missions, they use a tool that we have developed. They have the indicators but like we have been saying with some of the presentations. But our tool is based on 4 broad thematic areas: the political governance dimension, the economic governance dimension, the what we call corporate governance dimension. So we look at the behavior of the private sector. And the 4th one is socioeconomic development. That's really where the weight of our indicators lie relating to poverty. But our definition of poverty, of course, is not multidimensional as yours. And this is really the direction that I know Dr. Pali has been trying to push the APRM. We have done reports on Sierra Leone. We have a report that actually will be launching now in Sierra Leone, looking at the governance response to COVID-19. I'll be in Sierra Leone now to launch it now later in August. We also did some work in Mozambique, did a full-blown country review of Mozambique, as well as Nigeria. We're in the process now of rounding up our own review, country review report for Nigeria. I want to really emphasize that the Africa event is part of the outreach of that OPHI is making across its multidimensional poverty peer network, especially during this period of the pandemic. Many countries have faced the extra burden that COVID-19 has brought upon citizens. In Africa, we have today heard, of course, of our colleagues from Sierra Leone, Angola. Unfortunately, the colleagues are not here, and Mozambique, on how they are using the multidimensional poverty measures to address the extra burden COVID-19 has brought upon us. And really impressive report and impressive work from these two countries. This important session follows one that the APRM hosted to launch the Multidimensional Poverty Index report in December last year here in South Africa. As the APRM, we have been seized not only by the devastating challenges of COVID-19, but also we have looked into how we resolve our challenges of poverty and underdevelopment. To this end, we have undertaken a study on the relevance and applicability of the United Nations Committee of Experts on Public Administration, which is known as UNCEPA. The principles, as you know, that this committee is organized around the 11 principles, which cover 3 dimensions of effectiveness, accountability, and inclusiveness. In this regard, leaving no one behind is an important commitment to which APRM commits, and we are mindful of the fact that OPHI multidimensional poverty peer network, through its relentless advocacy, secured the measurement of poverty in all its dimensions, applying multidimensional poverty index. This is an important step. We as APRM should consider how we strengthen our relations with you in order to mutually benefit from the measurement tools and results you obtain from African countries who are members of the APRM, and how we apply these results to effect better policies and report on progress or lack of this progress to our heads of state. The UN CEPA principles need to be adopted and applied in a standardized fashion in countries. To this end, we shall explore how the 3 dimensions that I mentioned above can take advantage of Al-Kefausa method across the 11 principles. In time, we shall have to explore which of the 62 strategies across the 11 principles, their relevance to multidimensional measurement of poverty. We have also learned of the executive training program that aims at ensuring that the executive authorities of governments can share experiences in dealing with this 21st century scourge. We look forward to taking part and encouraging member states, or PRM member states in particular, to take advantage of this training. Our development path is common and we can benefit by exploring more formal collaboration. We stand ready as the APRM to work together with OPHI in ensuring that poverty can be history in the shortest possible time. As you know, Matthias Sen, the Nobel laureate, opined that human lives are battered in many different ways. Ours is to acknowledge and establish ways in which we address these in a comprehensive way. It is in this regard that the new mandate of the APRM, which is to address both agendas 2063 and SDGs, become important, and the MPI remain an invaluable tool through which we can realize better and faster and faster results. And I can say that in the APRM, due to the findings in APRM work, we usually treat poverty as a cross-cutting issue. So you'll find the sectional towards the end of our reports where we refer to what we call cross-cutting issues. Cross-cutting in the sense that the issues recur in almost every area of governance and have to be tackled holistically due to the overall impact it has on several areas of governance. By including the most relevant cross-cutting issues such as poverty, equity, opportunity, etc., in its development policies and strategies, the participating country is able to respond more effectively to particular circumstances. In our questionnaire, although poverty, issue of poverty touches the thematic areas that I mentioned, we also assess specifically countries' ability to implement policies and strategies to overcome poverty, inequality, and unemployment through the various objectives in the thematic areas, especially the one I emphasized, which we call socioeconomic development. And just in a word, Mr. Chairman, is to say that in our country review reports, our country review reports indicate most of the review countries allude to the fact that they still are battling seriously with poverty in various forms at the country level, and the most affected section of the population are our youth. So we do have cases that we can share with you, but of course, the MPI is really a direction for us that we will continue to work, and we are happy we have Dr. Pali as one of a very renowned statistician on the continent, and we've been working very closely with him on the SEPA principle and other initiatives. And I think that, and I'm hoping that from here we can be able to benefit from your tool and see how we incorporate it to enrich our own methodology and how we measure poverty in our APRM country review reports. I thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, the host. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Maloka. Colleagues, the continent has spoken, the APRM has spoken, and having done so, expect APRM fellow statistics offices to come and work with yourselves to ensure that Africa of good governance, Africa of silencing the guns, and Africa Agenda 2063 is on our shores. I made a mistake asking Professor Maloka speaking first. I missed Nigeria, and probably it was deliberate because the green eagles fly very high, and it might be desirable that you see the eagles flying. And given that
always Nigeria, always
Professor Maloka was in Nigeria when I called him, and we discussed this meeting.
Thank you very much.
For that reason, Nigeria has to speak last on African matters. Nigeria, Madam Sola, you have the floor.
I think, Dr. Pali, I guess maybe you want to make Nigeria a country, so maybe that's why I'm speaking after Professor Maloka. But can you hear me?
Nakode.
Okay. Can I have my presentation? It's quite a brief one, but can I have my... Thank you. So like you know, Nigeria has over about 200 million now. So it's taking us quite to get up and running when it comes to a unified looking at looking at poverty. This present administration of President Buhari, 2016, in partnership collaboration with the World Bank, NASCO. NASCO is its National Social Coordinating Office. It coordinates all the work currently going on in Nigeria. And then following that, in 2017, thereabouts, a big project was launched. NSIP is the National Social, and then the program actually around social protection and the rest. But then we began to think, how do we make the escape rate out of poverty? There wasn't enough data out there for us, and then have a targeted resource mechanism for us to that's where we can address the poverty issues. Like, Nigeria has a lot of development partners supporting around development. So we began to talk with the World Bank, Main Bank, and the rest of them to see how everyone to see to have a unified approach to measuring poverty. Of course, the World Bank has poverty that they look at, but the government wanted much sectoral approach to it. And the only institution of the government that looks at the official data is the MPS, the statistics. So in 2017, thereabout, I've attended the summer school, the MPI OPHI summer school, and that was started in terms of, okay, how can we look at the standard of the global standard way of looking, measuring poverty. There are, of course, I also working from the presidency, specifically under the Office of the Vice, and within the NSIP project, we began to look at, do the cross-cutting collaboration. Nigeria works is quite interesting, where federal government, the states, we have 36 states in Nigeria with the FCT. Federal government cannot intervene in the state without the cooperation. So we needed some federal coordinators. States are brought on in, and then they'll be. So those negotiation really 2019 after I attended and also at ONGA. So the picture, the of humanitarian that coordinates all the NASCO is now under the Ministry of Humanitarian. At the MPPN meeting at, making some commitment, but critical is that were made. Just a minute. With MBS to alongside the monetary measures for poverty, embedded within the national and subnational level. Also looked at the president makes on his second term, which started in 2019, around supporting 100 million people. And even where we conduct, how is that data being demanded and used to allocate resources? So we needed finance, budget, and national planning, which be within that agency. We also looked at working with multi-sectoral stakeholders at state level, and also what we call the NGF forum, where all the governors in all of the states come to form, agree on some decide to put that in their budgets at state level. So those happened very strongly in the last quarter, 2019. Fast forward to what we did, next slide, please. So 2020, we had Sabina, they came over, the very senior officials. The picture of Sabina visiting the Bureau of Statistics. Kaduna state governor has been very, give us audience, and he committed and interested to know, not just at the governance structure for Nigeria. You have the state, you have the local government, and you have the ward level. Keen to see data coming from as ward level, but we know how extensive that would be and also expensive. So what we have done, after meeting some other governors and the chairman for the national room to get their buy-in, we began to work, and also development partners. But just at the heel of that happened, So throughout COVID, you know, that are a lot of call for a verified approach where we can get data that is can easily be used to deploy any to respond to emergency situations, which of course is multi-dimensional in its approach. So what we have done is, no, we don't have data, just like we mentioned, or the other country, or Syria. We have been able to do so far since 2019. We are just about to do the very first survey, subnational survey at senatorial level, not just a big one. We have been able also to have all the agreements from the presidency. We have support making commitments. We have support from the Speaker of the House, which are going to make sure that ensure that we have the MPI embedded within it. Actually, also been able to achieve has been the midterm for till, I think, till 20. Can I have the next slide? So we have two plans. We have the 2021 to 2026. We have 2030. So those plans now, we have the MPI at the standard measurement for poverty in Nigeria, which is a big one. A lot of PP and of course OPHI in making that happen. So like I said, we have the first subnational survey due to happen. We've actually started a lot of, we've done the questionnaires, the piloting is going on. Official kickoff, which usually in Nigeria, you have to make a lot of public announcement of that. It helps with awareness, advocacy, and also buy-in from the public. That is going to be launched by the Vice President of Nigeria soon, in the next couple of weeks. Then that we are quite excited about is already for 2022 budget to be included. Whatever data we collect from the exercise is going to be included to prioritize areas where there are more deprivations, whether it's in health, in education, and also around child poverty. But beyond that, we're also looking at state, because federal is committed. What we are already speaking, UNICEF, the social policy department unit in UNICEF is collaborating with us in the work that we are doing in Gombe State. So we have some commitments from Gombe to do very granular level MPI, which would be at the ward level, or if not at ward level, at the LGA, local government area level. And we also have from Kaduna, we have some early experience, some experience working with, so no formal agreement at the moment, but those key states are quite critical. We're also looking at Kano that has over 13 million population within the states as we speak. So that would be what I would like to share. Basically, that because Nigeria, before you can implement and do work, you need to do a lot of advocacy, diplomacy, lobbying behind the scene, getting all the stakeholders on board. Initially, we were quite concerned about the methodology around the UNICEF model and also, of course, the World Bank, but we have agreement and support from the both parties as we speak. So no data, but Nigeria is quite committed. Like, you know, Sabina can say how hard work has been there, of course, with all the support from our team to make this happen. So I wanted to, I have within my slide the timelines. You can see a lot of activities that will be done. We are keen to make sure that not just data is collected, but the use of the data for 2022 budget, and also having, there will be some academic papers or policy papers that will come out from the work that will be done. And it will be quite interesting to see going forward how we do that. It's either every couple years or national one, in 2019, and then perhaps the senatorial or the LGA in the next year, so that data that can be usable at community level is what is being used to policy. But if you want to have a look at our schedule or give us input and some advice as you're quite advanced, especially in Mozambique, is done that about two or three times, that would be quite useful. So yes, I mentioned the key partners that we have of the presidency under the humanitarian ministry there, and also
so I have one minute left.
One minute more. Yeah, I can do that, right? Okay, so that's thank you from me, and I do welcome feedback. But thank you to Sabina and her team. I know it's been a hard work, getting to this point, and I hope that you continue to support us, especially now that we go to the field to conduct national survey for Nigeria. Thank you.
Nakode,
thank you.
Yes, I was pleased to see Kaduna Statistics Office. I was there looking at the strategies for and I must say that the governor was absolutely committed to making sure the numbers speak.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy that I could see that office. Now it was being built. Now it's completed, and I'm sure it's been opened.
Yes, it's completed. Yes.
Thank you very much. I hope I'll visit the place again, and I'll do the bit of point and kill the fish.
Please do. Yeah, we look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. Now, Professor Sabina Alkir, it's over to you before we open for questions and answers.
Thank you so much. Yes, my gratitude and my appreciation to all of the speakers. We've learned a great deal. I won't take much of the time because I think we need it for the interchange and the Q&A. But I just wanted to share a little bit, and I'm a little bit self-conscious in doing so because many people from the other countries with other experiences are on the call. So I just wanted to whip through and contextualize a little of the amazing work that we have heard from our speakers. We've heard about the MPIs in Sierra Leone, in Mozambique, the work, very amazing work in Nigeria, and the assessment of that work from the APRM. But it's just acknowledged that many other MPIs are on the call and have been launched. And they include people who are on this call. So Ghana, Angola, which we've already heard from, but Namibia, which is the most recent MPI to launch, Seychelles, Marie-Josie, I think is on the call. These are other MPIs that have launched recently. And in our South-South magazine, Dimensiones, for example, the director of statistics in Angola explained their process of developing their national MPI that's also representative at the municipal level. And Ghana's MPI has been very interesting as a project to continue with. I know that Francis and others are on the call. So we want to acknowledge their work, their voice, and leadership. And Seychelles has launched its MPI, very interesting, again, experience with innovative indicators. And Marie-Josie can tell us more about that. And then the most recent is Namibia, and we want to congratulate them on their work and on their launch in this difficult time. So it's just to say that what you have heard on this call is just the tip of an iceberg when it comes to serious national MPI work. And we haven't even acknowledged, of course, the fundamental leadership of South Africa, which has been chairing the call. You also might want to recognize that many of these MPIs are reported in the global SDG indicator database as indicator 1.2.2, and they are also mentioned in the voluntary national reviews of countries. So there are many links between the MPI and the first of 17 goals of the SDGs, the second of 169 targets. And so of the 64 countries that have reported against the MPI SDG indicator of 1.2.2. A number of them are those with MPIs, and they are listed in a sense in this slide in bold, the ones from the region. And over 40 countries have also in their voluntary national reviews articulated their work on multidimensional poverty as being one way that they express how they are not only looking at one statistic, but they're looking at a statistic that brings together interlinked SDG indicators from other goals under the same roof, as it were. And we've already heard of the interest that Sierra Leone sparked, because Sierra Leone, Mauritania, and Liberia had the fastest absolute reduction of the global MPI across 75 countries and 5 billion people in the global MPI report launched last year. It's not the national MPI, it's a global MPI. So it's not a tailor-made to country data set, but it is something in a sense to recognize, and particularly because of the context of that reduction. And then last but not least, I would want to recognize that while we are celebrating and looking forward to the generosity of Chile hosting our annual MPPN meeting this year on the 4th and 5th of October, we also greatly enjoyed our meeting in Johannesburg in 2018. And we also greatly enjoyed our MPPN meeting in the Seychelles in 2019. And so all the way through this network, the visibility and the voices are there. I think what I would simply say, I think on behalf of everyone working in the network, is as we said, Pali said at the beginning, we would like to learn more and document more of how the different countries are making that link between the MPI and policy, and how statistical offices in Africa are using the innovative data forms. For example, we heard from Mozambique and the census-based MPI. Many countries delayed their census, but would other countries finalizing their census instruments be interested to learn more from that experience? So I think that we want to recognize, but we also want that our policy briefings, Dimensiones magazine, and the executive education course will have materials about your leadership. So that's really what we wanted to say. And the technical summer school begins on the 9th of August. And the executive education course begins on the 23rd of August for 1 week. And we already have participants from a number of countries confirmed for that executive education course. And I want to thank you for that participation, but also if there are any particular people with this particular responsibility where having a peer group of high-level participants from executive education would be of interest, then please do get in touch with us. There's just a few spaces left. It's nearly full, but we would want to make space if that was necessary. And I simply also want to acknowledge all of the people and institutions on the call and how much we appreciate what you do, particularly in these times, and seek to continue to learn and build on it, and so that we can all continue to share and work for those on whose behalf we are all working. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sabina, and thank you very much, participants. Now the floor is open for inputs. I'm not sure whether the raising hand function works or I have to read the chat box. Philippi, what do you advise?
Pali, I think since we are coming close to the time that we established for this meeting, I will be happy to read some of the questions, then give 1 2 minute 1 or 2 minute intervention to our speakers, and then close the event, if you agree.
Yes, indeed, you can read. I thought I was liking to hear my voice more and more, but certainly I miss your voice, Philip.
Sure. Just before we jump to the questions, I'd really like to greet and thank all the countries and institutions who are joining, including the African Development Bank, Botswana, Zambia, Belize, SADC, the East African Statistical Training Center, Angola, Turkey, Ghana, Kenya, UN ECA, Botswana, Senegal, colleagues from Seychelles, Namibia, UNDP, World Food Program, Tanzania, UNESCO, and the colleagues from South Africa. We're very grateful that you're all here joining us today. I think the colleagues from Seychelles had raised their hand, specifically Maria Jose. So if you are there, we can give you just like a one minute for your question, and then I'll proceed to read the questions so that speakers can reply. I think Maria Jose, if you can unmute your microphone.
Hello, good evening,
Maybe,
Felipe. Good evening, everyone.
Turn on your camera if possible. If not, that's okay.
It's it's very wet at the moment. We're in the middle of monsoon, so I don't want to I don't want to break my connection. Basically, I just had one comment to say that we need to ensure that we continue to be committed no matter what changes might happen around us, and to continue to support the process, because I know that we have many challenges that comes about with COVID, the challenges that come about with changes in governments, but we need to provide the support to our governments and to those people who are committed to the MPI cause. And for the APRM, I would just like to send a short request that they can enter into Seychelles and its MPI process a little bit more than we have in the past, because as a small island state, we do find that we have stood alone, and although we're part of the continent of Africa, we have not really communicated and consulted from the African perspective. And so I would really like for us to have some more interaction from the part of the continental stage. Thank you.
May I just say thank you very much for your question and for your intervention. It's very important for us. So I'm gonna go ahead and read some of the really interesting questions that we had. So this is a question for Sierra Leone and for Mozambique, and the question is whether we can compare the IPM produced in 2017 with the one produced in 2018 and 2019 in different dimensions. That's both for Sierra Leone and for Mozambique. For all the countries, there is another question, whether those who have conducted more than one MPI assessment, how was the experience of adding new dimensions or indicators to the MPI, while at the same time ensuring comparability over time? Has the index remained unchanged over both assessments? And then there's another one, is with the traditional data collections under severe pressure in the light of COVID-19 pandemic, what route do we take to ensure continuation of the MPI assessment, especially during the pandemic? A very important question. And then also another question for all the countries is, what has been the impact of using multidimensional data collection in planning, allocation of national budget, and reducing poverty? We also have a comment from Tanzania. I think yeah, but we're gonna get started off with these ones. As you know, we're coming close to an end. So Pali, I'm gonna give the floor back to you so you can give the floor to all of the countries for one last intervention before we close, if that's okay.
Okay, no, thank you very much. There are the questions. They probably are directed not necessarily to the contributors, but also not necessarily directed to OPHI. But are there any takers now? Countries, can you come up? I can't see the raising of hand here, Felipe, and probably it's better you orchestrate that. We can have 4 hands so that by 1640 we come to a close. Countries, you have the floor. I saw Yandi, I saw Professor Ben Kirigera, I think I saw Professor Lamin. I'm talking about the elders now. I saw Jacob Zwoldi, and all of you, very, very pleased that you are here as the elders of the statistics. Yandi from Stats SA, I saw you there, but hands, please. And Philippi will see who wants to speak. Philippi, are you seeing anyone?
Sure, not yet. I will ask Enilde, Sheka, Sola, or Finorio to open their microphones and reply to the questions, if that's okay.
Professor Maluka's connection was very weak, and he finally had to leave. He tenders his apologies.
Thanks for that.
Okay, can I just jump in? And
yes,
I would say that most of the questions are tailored countries that have already conducted the survey. Nigeria hasn't. So, but thanks for the encouraging words and call the initial area to say to stay committed. Needed to hear that because it's quite a for us right now to stay more. So thank you.
Yeah, may I come? May I come in?
Yes, please. Come in, Shega.
Yes, from Sierra Leone. Thank you so much. So educative. Questions so important in the indices.
Maybe you should speak without your picture, your video.
From one year to the other.
My brother Sheka, can you speak without the video? We'd like to enjoy seeing you, but
okay.
If you could remove your video because the quality is not quite right. But yes, talk without the video, my brother Sheka. My brother Sheka, come through. If not, then can we have any
okay. Okay, thank you so much. Yes. Yes.
Speak, my brother.
Okay.
You have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much. And the question on comparing the indices from one year to the other, I think is quite a very important question, But let me state that multidimensional poverty index is still a highly evolving discourse in the country, for which for now, comparing indices between 1 year and the other should be treated with some amount of caution. Like the indices presented so far, the key report that we compare so far, we have the one for 2019, published in 2019, based on the multiple indicator cluster survey. Then we have the one before, published in 2017, based on the country census 2015. When you look at the two, the series, the data series has not been the same there, certainly. So we have to be very careful in terms of, comparison. However, to the extent that we would have a number of indicators remaining the same, in both years, 20 to be able to do comparison, from that perspective, but as long as the data series is not the same, we have sensors there, then talk about mix there, we have to do the comparison with some amount of caution. So this is, just speaking to the broader need for OPHI and of course with the national government to work together to make sure that we have some rationalization as to what data we'll be using, and to make sure that we conduct MPI on a regular basis, to the extent possible for us to be able to use the same series. We used mix for Sierra Leone for the last report. If we could use the next mix to conduct the next to calculate the next MPI, I think that will enhance the comparison. And the question on how much has MPI been used to guide policy, to guide resource allocation, I think the index has been very useful in Sierra Leone. I mentioned during my presentation, using MPI of late in the prioritization of districts, to include in an upcoming rural development program. We used the 2019 report to select the top, 5 districts that are multidimensionally poor in the country, to give a focus, a priority, to those districts. So we are using that, while recognizing the fact that we still have some limitation in terms of the broader use of the MPI in the decision-making country. The UN into them is over time. Yes, I think at the OPHI would note of that, to the extent possible, if we are able to stick to a set of indicators over, over the years, I mean, for the next 10 years to 20 years, in terms of, honestly. Hello?
Hello, yes. Yes, you are fading, but I think we have followed the answer, but you could conclude in another minute, because we are now running towards the end point.
Yes, well, I almost concluded. I've almost concluded, and that probably just to say, OPHI and us together, would look into these questions going forward. They are very important. I would say policy conducting, and MPIs in the countries, going forward. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I would like Philippi, can you give me Nkomo, Nkomo? I certainly extended a lot of invitation to social partners in South Africa, and perhaps she can raise the question. There's also a question from Sawid, Melebwan Diepolopeko. Thanks for hosting. Can we make links between the MPI and other alternative measures and methodologies like well-being economics and other also, and these with qualitative understanding and responding to poverty? Sawid is South African Women in Dialogue, and the extent of SAWI, it reaches to all women in dialogue, women in Africa, basically. It's something that was started by or rather, yes, Stuart was the former president, the First Lady, Mezanel Mbeki, and she was looking at African women coming in dialogue and dealing with matters, conflict and silencing the guns. So we have a variety of constituencies coming from South Africa in that regard. So, Philippe, can you give her the floor?
Sure, I'm going to give the floor to Felisa. Felisa,
Felisa,
you can
Yes.
unmute your microphone if you want. You can also turn on your camera.
No, I'm good. No, thank you so much. I think I had asked the questions about whether is there any reflection on or what is the qualitative outcomes of, implementing MPI within both Mozambique and Nigeria. But I see the response from Ferreira, but I wasn't sure whether that was. But I'm also interested to know if there's a planned investment, for example, in building capacity building for civil society organizations in Africa, so they're able to use this tool.
And thank you very much. Sabina, did you get the question, or Felipe, you are there, one of the two, or Gonzalo? Gonzalo, did you hear the question?
So I could say just a word and then others can improve. So first of all, about the issue of well-being and poverty, I think it's a very exciting new frontier. And there are some countries that have a well-being measure that's multidimensional and a linked poverty measure. And it's very interesting because you see some places have high levels of poverty, but the community spirit, the peacefulness, the meaning or culture and psychological well-being is very strong. And in other places, poverty goes alongside with anxiety and frustration and some negative aspects of the wider well-being dimensions. And so linking them is possible. And I think, to be honest, it will be one of the ways forward. In terms of capacity building, I think every country does it differently and better as time goes on. We only do the technical online summer school for people who are computing national MPIs, but also for students. And all of the website material is freely online. But for those who are interested in a non-technical way, UNDP has put up an online MOOC, massive online open course. And all of the videos from that are now available in English. And colleagues can mention whether or not they will soon be available in Spanish and French online. But there are some resources there if they are useful. At the same time, I would want to acknowledge, because he will be too humble to do so, that Gonzalo Hernandez Licona is finalizing a book on policy entrepreneurship, where he's trying to learn from the people who have used MPI in policy and share some of their learnings. So there are ongoing sources that we're trying to develop and put out, again, based on all of your expertise, innovation, and creativity. Over.
Gonzalo, you want to come in?
Thank you, Pali. No, I think what Sabina said was really good. I mean, there are always relationships between measuring a poverty indicator with subjective indicators. In the case of Mexico, the statistical office was able to link both. So what is the relationship between the well-being, the subjective well-being of people, and whether those people were in extreme poverty, in poverty, or out of poverty in a multidimensional way? And there was a very direct link. I mean, the study is in Spanish, but hopefully we can translate it so we can share it to you. And I just want to take the opportunity to thank to all of you, because I think the time is running, and you've been a wonderful accrue. I know there are many questions around. We would like to answer them either now or later. As you know, OPHI and MPPN, we have so many meetings in the future. So we really are asking you to join the meetings. We have the summer school, we have the executive education for the very first time. I think that's an exciting event in August. We'll have our annual meeting in Chile. So there are plenty of ways in which we can exchange the book of the handbook about policy entrepreneurship is just about to be finished. So we'd like to share it with you in the near future. So thank you very much, Pali.
Thank you, Gonzalo. I think we really are coming to more or less the end. And I guess I have to now say my thanks, but I would have not done justice to do so if I didn't refer to the report that a very forward-looking report that SAWID, that is South African Women in Dialogue, have compiled that really explores the different challenges that women are facing. And I was part of the, I was, you want to come in?
You are the brother-in-law of the Kosas. You must say,
Teresa, my apologies. I'm not sure you are saying me and the brother-in-law of the Kosas. But let's leave that aside. But the Women in Dialogue have prepared a very interesting report that raises the issues such that they lend themselves to multidimensional poverty measures. And I think casting our eye in that direction, and I will encourage SAWID to look at the training that is offered, as well as the executive training. I must, as before I hand over to Philippi, thank the fellow brothers on the continent, particularly Professor Ben, Mr. Diop, and those were the two major people that when we made the call that we have this session, they said we'll shake every tree so that everybody participates. The African brothers and sisters and those who actually are not even on the continent for having attended this very important MPPN day. We have a lot more, as we will see, but importantly, I think, is to grow the MPPN and grow the multidimensional poverty measures in the NGOs, in government departments, in the rest of society, so that it becomes alive. And that will help the statistics offices to do their work even better. So I'll end it there and hand over to Felipe.
Thank you so much, Pali, for your fantastic chairing of this meeting. Thanks to all the distinguished speakers, and thanks to all participants. We apologize we could not reply to all of the questions, but we are absolutely happy to see the great interest in the MPI in Africa. So thank you so much, and with this, we close the meeting. We'll be sending an email with a summary of this event. You can find the recording of this event on YouTube, and we'll stay in touch. Please do send your questions or comments to mppn@qeh.ox.ac.uk if you want to get in touch with us. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Felipe.
Merci. Thank you very much.